Hi, my name is Charles Blevins. Thank you for watching my videos on YouTube. Thank you for visiting Lost Psychic and my other website, charlesblevins.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about suicide. For many years I always thought no big ordeal about suicide. I never understood the full agreement that we make on the other side. Even today, I don't understand the full agreement we make on the other side, but I have a better understanding why suicide is so wrong. I thought suicide was okay for people who were terminally ill. I don't want to see anyone suffer. We put down an animal when we see an animal suffering. Why do we not put down a human being when a human being is suffering? Why can we not choose when we've had enough and we want out? This has always been a very big question. Well, my step-grandfather passed away not very long ago. I go in a couple within the last few years. He committed suicide. I didn't have a very close relationship with him, but I saw how much it affected my mother and a little bit of her family. They couldn't understand why. So with communicating with the other side, I finally understood the issue with suicide. What is so wrong with suicide? Well, what happens when we commit suicide, it's kind of like taking a mirror and shattering the mirror, and now the mirror's all cracked and you see pieces of your reflection in different pieces. That's kind of how a suicide is. What happens in the process that makes it so hard is the people on this side can never get closure with that individual. See, when we pass on from natural causes or from the proper method of passing on, we are not fragmented like a mirror. We move on to the other side intact, which allows us to give closure back to the people on this side. That's the problem with suicides, is that the people that are closest to the person who commits suicide, they never get closure. They always have open wounds. They can never get proper forgiveness, get the inside healed. The suicide kind of takes that away from them to a degree. It makes their life harder and leaves that wound open with that relationship. That's what suicide is bad for on this side. It's going to hurt the other people around because of incomplete closure. Now, on the other side, what happens is the suicide is kind of like the broken glass. They broke a contract. And there may be other contracts, and I realize that there's other pieces of a contract when we come here to be in human form. But suicide is the main contract. In other words, you're not allowed to commit suicide. You have to live this life. You have to play the game. You have to do the work. No matter how hard, no matter how bad it is, you do not commit suicide. That's the contract. The reason why that's the contract is we had a choice to come here. We may not realize it. We came here. We wanted to be here. And we cannot end the experience. We're here to learn something. Whatever it is that we must learn, we must go through it completely and fulfill that obligation. Otherwise, we're like the mirror. We're all cracked and fragmented. That causes issues for the people who are around us, because now they get a little bit fragmented. And you also will have a place that you have to go on the other side that separates you in a different level of where you should be at. And you will be there cracked and fragmented. And it almost appears to me as if you have to work through each one of those cracked and fragmented pieces, which is a lot harsher than just completing this game. In other words, you complete your term here, whatever that term is, 60 years, 80 years, 100 years, whether it's a good term, bad term, so-so term, whatever it is, you complete it. When you go to the other side, you've learned something from it. You didn't cheat the game. You didn't cheat your turn. You work on those lessons and you move on. When you break the term, you break the agreement. And what we think is long here can be a very long time on the other side when time doesn't play in effect. In other words, when you break that contract, it's harsher for you on the other side, because you're causing pain for people on this side. If your term is to live 60 years and then to get cancer and die a very painful death, maybe it's because you had to learn something in a painful death. Or maybe the people around you had to learn something about a painful death. Complete your term. It's important. If you live a good life for 100 years and you die the most gorgeous death, you completed your term. It doesn't mean that your term here on life this time around was any better than the person who had cancer that died younger and had a painful death than yours. It just means you had different things that you had to experience. So the only thing I can tell you about suicides, really at the end of the day, is what we've been told over and over. Just don't do it. You can do anything else, but don't commit suicide.